Hey everyone, welcome to my next video. This is going to be about the Christmas Eve dad soup. Now, our dad has been gone for a few years now, and we're all having a little bit of difficulty trying to remember everything that he put in the soup. We know that there was beef, and there was chicken, onions, let's see, macaroni, rice, stewed tomatoes, maybe some broth. Now, we haven't been able to duplicate it exactly, and I'm actually not going to try and do that again this year. I did the best I could last year. I want to do something a little different this year. Two of the things, the rice and the macaroni that he always had in every year, those I will not be adding directly to the soup. Just for trying to eat a little bit healthier myself. I'm trying to get away from the carbs, but I will have those prepared on the side so others can add them. And what I'll do on the macaroni, just to let you, my little hint is I'll be putting a little butter with it, cover on it to keep it from sticking, check it from time to time. Now the first thing I did with the the beef stew is, I'm sorry I didn't show you that part. I have about 3 pounds of beef stew. I cut it into small bite-sized chunks, and I cooked it with beef bouillon cubes in a saucepan. I would say took a little bit over 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes, because I wanted it to almost fall apart when you eat it. So it's, you enjoy it, and it's pleasant. You don't have to work at it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I will show you what I'm going to do, how I'm going to clean and slice up the chicken into bite-sized chunks. That will also be boiled in beef bouillon cubes. I'm doing this in preparation for the soup because the last part will be putting the beef, the chicken. I have 3 large cans of diced tomatoes. I have an onion, and I have celery. Now I will be adding some various spices to it to add a little bit of flavor. I have garlic, pepper, I have adobo, a little bit of this, and when I add these, it's going to be a little bit of guesswork. I'm going to add maybe like a pinch of each, taste it, and see how it turns out. I don't want to overdo it. So without further delay, I'm going to show you my process of cleaning and cutting down the chicken to get rid of the fatty parts. I've got the water simmering, and I have the chicken bouillon cubes. Now the rule of thumb for these is usually about 1 per cup, and I've kind of estimated what I've here. It's not exactly 5 cups, could actually be more, but this will be sufficient because I do want these to dissolve. You just want to be careful putting those in. Now once those fully dissolve, I'm going to add the chicken, and this will be the time-consuming process of cooking the chicken. Now, the chicken is definitely going to cook faster than the beef stew. So the first thing I'll do is I'll set the timer for about 15 minutes once it's in there, and check on it. The bouillon cubes are fully dissolved. Initially, I'm going to set the timer for about maybe 5 minutes. Alright, it's actually been a little over 20 minutes. I waited till it started boiling before I set the timer. I did it 10 minutes, checked it, decided to go another 10 minutes. So I'm going to take a piece out here. We'll see easily this breaks apart. I only need one. Now chicken as a rule, is more tender than beef and doesn't take as long, of course, to cook. Let's see if I can give you a good view of this a little bit closer. Alright, that's going to break apart nice and easily. Alright, so I'm going to slowly pour this in. Alright, so I'm nearing the end of my preparation for the soup mix. The last thing that I need to do, and I almost forgot, was to chop up the celery. And I'm going to boil this in water with a bouillon cube or two, so that this, when I add it to the soup, is already soft where it needs to be. I'm just going to cover this, maybe go over it with an inch of water or so, and add a couple bouillon cubes. And I know they're going to dissolve on their own once this gets to boiling, so I don't have to pre-dissolve them before adding that in. Alright, so it only took about 15 minutes once this started boiling to sufficiently soften up the celery so they're not super crunchy. Now, I'm not going to get rid of this or the broth. I'm going to leave it right in here, let it cool off, because I'll be using this when I complete the soup and mix all the ingredients together. Alright, I'm getting ready to do the last steps here for putting the soup together. Now, one of the things that my dad had in there is, I know he did an onion, and I don't believe that he actually chopped it up. If I remember right, it was probably just halved or quartered. So that's all I'm going to do with these two pieces here. I'm going to take these outer layers off. I think this is just for flavoring. So I don't really have anything else in there, so let's get in here a bump. First thing we're going to do is we're going to dump all in the chicken, and then the beef. I suspect I will need more than just the one can of diced tomatoes. Alright, now this is the broth and the celery. Alright, can of tomatoes. Alright, so I am going to do two things. I'm going to take another bouillon cube, make another thing of broth to add to this, and then add a second can of tomatoes before I start cooking this. Alright, so I ended up putting 2 of the cans of tomato in, and I also did an additional 8 cups of water with 4 bouillon cubes. Now normally the bouillon cubes is 1 cube per 1 cup of water. I decided to go in half. The other spices I've added, I may add more depending on how the flavor turns out. I added 1 teaspoon of adobo, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic. The only reason this is steaming right now is not because I've turned on, but only because I added the boiling beef broth from the bouillon cube. So I'm going to light this small burner here, and then we'll see. We'll get this simmering because I don't need it to cook at this point. I need it to warm up and for the flavor to mix with each other.